Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. And what that basically entails is that individuals on earth have a experience of a satisfied life, a gift made available to all that would walk according to certain principles that have been designed by the master of life itself. Today I was thinking about we the people, what we say we want out of life and perhaps in the next life if there is to be a next life. And most folks would say, well, I want heaven. I'd like to experience heaven. And the question oftentimes comes, why not hell? I mean, why is it that everybody wants or say that they want heaven? And yet there are basic requirements that would lead to that kind of outcome. And if you do not follow those basics and choose others that perhaps lead to what we might call hell, and yet that's the one people choose to follow, and and in spite of the fact that they all claim to want to experience the heaven thing. And most recently, they came out with something that most black people have already known, is that the white Jesus that we have been indoctrinated to think represents what the Bible is about is all fake. And when you think about it being fake, it reminds you of a Donald Trump. I don't want to be picking on Donald Trump, and I'm only using Donald Trump because he set himself out there as a model that reflects certain things that you might be trying to say. And so when you say that, you're thinking about Donald Trump and all that Donald Trump represents when in reference to that white Jesus. Now, you think maybe perhaps of a black Jesus, since you have never perhaps given that much thought, couldn't possibly be. And since this, if you can agree or accept the fact that it is a connection, that the blackness is representative of the Jesus figure, and that having gone through so much pain and suffering, that he might be different, not try to cause that same pain and suffering to others, that he would be represented by doing, first of all, he have to disrobe all the stuff that he has learned from the white Jesus. Now, when you think about the white Jesus, again, still on that point, you think about the haves. That's what you have when you, under the structure, under the guidance, under the leadership, under the control, under the government of the white Jesus. You got also the have-nots. You got those who got, you got those who ain't got nothing. You got wealth, those who you meet that description of wealth. You know what you call it, you want it. And then you got poverty, totally opposite. And out of that you got crime, because people still seeking out that satisfaction in life or want it. And so they use what is available to them. And sometimes the only thing that appears to be left open to them is crime. And when you start getting caught up in the crime, then comes the violence. I mean, violence has already been perpetuated, but now it is broadened. And out of this crime and violence, you start people got, then don't have, then you have hatred. Hatred. Sometimes when you divide and conquer, you find all kinds of things to be hatred. Sometimes could be religion that you're hating for. Sometimes it could be race that you're hating for. Just come on, create racism, perhaps. And all of these things, as a product of the white Jesus. Bigotry and pain and suffering. This is what happens in America. And we think we got something going on. So if it happens in America, you know it's happening in other places. Terror and war. And here's the white Jesus, representative of Donald Trump. Every thing that you can figure that's destructive or doesn't do good for the masses. Well, when you think about that, what would you associate that with? Heaven or hell? Well, you don't have to say it out loud. But what if you took the steps that led to peace, exercised justice, and yes, you were prosperous and free? And this thing, my friends, excuse me, just as the other is applicable to all the people, this too is applicable to all the people. To have joy and happiness in your life. And not only that, but to live your dreams. You know, people dream about, ooh, but you're not. You are actually experiencing your dreams, your needs, your wants, and your desires, man. I say this all the time. It seems like every post I make, I have to add this to it just in case you didn't catch another post. The haves, you are that. And the most wonderful thing about it, ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, those of you who hear me, is that you have careers of choice. In fact, it is required that each of you, when you reach that point, you know, you've grown up, come through life educated and healthy and stuff like this, ready and qualified, you engage yourself in a career that you choose. And you choose, you have the opportunity to choose the career that gives you your greatest joy. So you're not out there competing for money. You're out there competing with yourself to be the best that you can be, because what you do is very, very important to the rest of everything that everybody else is doing, because together you are collectively working, building heaven for yourselves. And it's just a byproduct, because the heaven really is when you get the joy out of doing what you came here to do. And in this process, it involves every shade of people. Every shade of people. Now, for some strange reason, they're walking a path that appears to be on the righteous path. And the outcome, what would you see that as being, heaven or hell? Now, you don't have to answer that either. You see, because there are so many things that's happening that really works toward what you see each and every day. In America, they've been going through some changes for quite a few years. I mean, week after week, month after month, year after year, they've had forces come before them, blatantly lying, right before their face. The lies don't go anywhere, but they constantly saying it, constantly saying. And then they claim that when the system comes after them, and this comes still with that which you can associate with the white Jesus, because this is something that doesn't happen for all white people. This happens to the ones that got the power. And who got the power? The rich ones. Above the law. Can buy their way out of mostly anything. Now, but they tell you to keep you from looking at the filth that they do, that they are blocking the ones that's getting at them for what they are doing. Supposedly, this is to block them from you. I ask you, are you committing fraud, tax fraud? Are you stealing? Are you out there outright breaking the law? If you are, stop it. And if you don't stop it, they're coming after you. But if you're not doing it, they are not coming after you. So he's not blocking them from coming after you. He's using you to shield them from him. To shield them from him by lying and deceiving you. And you are innocent and you want to believe. You want to believe. But that doesn't make it right and doesn't make it real. So what am I saying? How many of you are being sought after for doing good stuff? See, there's one thing that really goes on, ladies and gentlemen. It's designed this way. All of the ugliness that I just mentioned to you that has been going on for the past several years, it isn't coming and going. It's been constant, day and night, every day, every night, every day, over and over, all day, all night. You can find it. Just you're going to find it somewhere. So much so that it's almost normal. People just don't want to hear it. It doesn't mean anything. And take you and rob you of your ability to be real. And next thing you know, you're acting really, the word to use is stupid. And that's exactly where evil wants you. That's exactly where that path to hell wants you. Because in order for that to continue to exist, you got to be asleep. You cannot be woke. You got to be asleep to be led to hell. But in a system like this, where you got people all over, doesn't matter what shade you are, some are really on a team that seems to be in a hurry to get to hell, some on a team that does not want to go to hell so fast, and others just don't know where they're at. And how do you get them, all of them, to turn the same path, to seek the same outcome? How can you get them to look and accept what is available to them and choose from that which meets their needs and causes no pain or suffering to anyone else? How can you get them to do that? Well, there was one amongst you that said that the way that you could have all the food you need, all the clothing you need, all of the shelter you need, all the health care, all of the education, transportation, and anything that was made by the hands of man. That message was brought to you. But you didn't hear that message. You didn't hear anybody discussing it. You didn't hear anybody want to talk about it. The news media, everything of the white God. And when I say the white God, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to try to say that, well, I want you to know that I don't mean that all white people are devils. All white people are evil. Why? Because all people are evil, black and white. So that, that's not pointing a finger at anybody in a negative way, except that they all experience that. My point of it is that this heaven that is available to you just requires that you have a change of mind, change your heart. Means that somewhere they said you might have to be born again. But these things have to take place, and what would make all three want it at the same time? All three. What would make Donald Trump's people? What do they want? Well, they want everything they want, but they also want others to suffer. They can actually take guns and go and shoot people and kill them. Wow. So making sure that they had all the stuff that they wanted, that anybody else could have, still wouldn't make them care about other folks. Wow. Still make them hate. Wow. So what would eradicate that hate out of the lives of people? What would make people want to love instead of hate? Anybody know? Maybe the haters can tell us. If you are a hater, could you respond to this video and tell us what is required for you to start loving instead of hating. That would be nice. Well, I wanted to end this particular post like this, with a lot of questions, a lot of answers escaping us, because I'll probably come back, I'm sure I will, and I'll be continuing this process. And I'm hoping that you, when you hear the video, the next one, that you would have, because you heard this one, given it some thought. And as you hear what is being said, that you maybe want to say something. And I want you to say it, because I'm realizing, and thank God for that, that I don't care how much I want heaven. I can only be the part that I have been given to be. And the rest will come from you. And if there's to be a heaven, it's because I'm already convinced. But you must be. And that means I gotta walk the line, because I really don't know what it's gonna take except being real. And I plan to be real. Thank you so very much. I'll be with you. Bye-bye.